Protesters campaigning against the expansion of London's Heathrow Airport are threatening direct action on the final day of their protest camp. Police say they are confident they will be able to deal with the demonstrators who've been gathering in fields near Heathrow. Well, for the latest, our correspondent Nicola Pearson is at Heathrow Airport. Nicola, tell us what's going on there.
Well, in the last few minutes, we've seen groups of protesters marching out and off of the site here and off down the road. Now, the police are sort of using a pincer movement on them. They've got to the bottom of the road and obviously they want to leave, but police won't let them. And I think we can show you from some aerial position exactly what's going on there. Lots of pushing and shoving with the police as protesters are trying to get out of the end of the road. And we can also see police coming up behind the protesters as they're moving down the road. Now, in the last half an hour, protesters have told us exactly what they want to do. They want to stand around on this 3-kilometre site of the proposed runway to show exactly how much land would be affected if this runway gets the go-ahead. And they also want to go and blockade BAA's headquarters. And that's what they're intending to do with this march. They want to march down to BAA, which is over to my right here. So they'll be using the roads and going all the way round to try and blockade the headquarters. And they say they want to be there for up to 24 hours. Now, we had a press conference here in the last half an hour. One of the protesters who spoke to us was Layla Harris.
As you've all seen, this week has shown the lengths that corporations and the government will go to avoid taking genuine action on climate change. This week has also shown that people have had enough. We have had enough of the prioritisation of economic growth over the future of our planet. The people are taking action themselves, in the knowledge that we are the only people that can put the brakes on climate chaos. The Camp for Climate Action has been fantastic, and it is only the beginning. We are part of a growing global movement of ordinary people that will stop climate change, because we are the last generation that can. This day of action has been called in solidarity with the 1,000 homes that would be demolished if this third runway was built. It is in solidarity with the 160,000 people who will die from the effects of climate change this year. It is in solidarity with the millions whose lives will be destroyed if we don't stop climate change. And it is in solidarity with the future generations who deserve a planet too. Thank you.
Well, very, very visible policing here. Up to 2,000 police officers everywhere across this Heathrow Airport site. Now, the protesters have gone on their way off to carry out their action. We've known for a week that there was going to be this day of mass action, direct action. But what the protesters have said this morning is that they cannot be sure that splinter groups won't carry out other action. They just don't know, and they will not condemn it.
Looking at these pictures, as you say, of these this bunch of people, a little bit of pushing and shoving going on, a policeman losing his hat in the middle there, things getting a bit more lively. I don't know whether it looks as though officers might be trying to... Yeah, it looks as though somebody's being pulled away from the crowd. But there are not a lot of them involved in this particular bit of protest, Nicola?
No, I mean, several hundred. I'm just trying to have a look behind me to see how many people are left on the camp. There's probably a few hundred people left in the camp, and I imagine a few hundred that have gone on their way. Now, what the police are concerned about is, yes, they've got a huge group down here, and very much that is under control. You can probably see from a better vantage point than I've got that the police do pretty much have that under control. The worry, of course, is that you've got these other smaller groups, people that have probably left the camp already and are probably somewhere else around the airport that could be getting up to all sorts of things. So I think that is the concern, the people that aren't part of the mass group and that they can't fully see. But at the moment, I think things are pretty much under control here, but the demonstrators will be absolutely livid that the police will not let them out of the end of the road, especially after they've told the media, they've told everyone that they are on their way to carry out this mass action at BAA's headquarters.
Yes, indeed. You say we got a good vantage point, pretty good one at the moment. The picture is a little bit indistinct. The camera's a little bit further away. I know it's going in again for us. That's very useful. There are police horses there, and as you said earlier on, police both sides of these demonstrators are making their way very slowly along this road. There are cars on it as well. People have been trying to move along the road both ways. Police haven't shut the road as far as we can see, and it is a case of pushing and shoving, but nothing too desperate at the moment. Just remind us, Nicola, they are aiming to get to the BAA headquarters. Are they going to be allowed to do that or not?
Well, the police haven't really given us that sort of information. At the moment, it looks like they're not, but it may be that there is some sort of discourse, some sort of agreement with the police that if they are escorted, that they may well get over there to BAA headquarters. And it would be fairly embarrassing for the protesters if they weren't able to do that. But the police throughout this, and I've been here all week, have been trying to keep up a conversation with the protesters, but feeling really that on both sides that they haven't been able to do that. So whether or not they will be able to reach an agreement and they will be able to make their way over to BAA headquarters, but again, when they get there, huge police presence there. And when I was driving onto the site this morning, I mean, I just lost count of all the police vans. The police have been here all week, up to 2,000 officers here trying to control and contain these protesters. So whatever happens, I think the police pretty much have it under control.
Well, I think you're right about that, Nicola. We're just looking here on BBC News 24, pictures from our helicopter of what's going on the ground. Small bunch of protesters in the middle there. I would say, well, not more than about 50 or so of them. Overtaken by the number of policemen, a mile south or so of Air Traffic Control Centre at Heathrow. That's apparently where they were hoping to get to, but it doesn't look as though they're going to be allowed to do that. They've been penned in very effectively, outnumbered, I should say, 3 or 4 to 1 by the police, who now got them ringed right the way around. Usually quite a busy road this. The traffic has been stopped. These are the protesters from the Heathrow, the camp, the setup. People determined to protest against the expansion of Heathrow Airport and to protest about the growth of air travel in general. Been a very peaceful protest throughout the last week. This is the fag end of it, if you like. A day of action was promised. So far, that day of action is a little bit of pushing and shoving that we can see beside that stopped bus and other motor cars about a mile from Heathrow Airport. Our reporter Nicola Paget has been there for us. Nicola, for the moment, thank you very much indeed.